Political observers and seasoned analysts alike are witnessing what could be called one of the most chaotic meltdowns in modern U.S. political history. The 2024 Trump campaign appears engulfed in panic and desperation, evidenced by a surge of controversial statements, erratic behavior, and a staggering backlash from voters and even conservative media outlets. Let's take a look at how the once powerful political figure is grappling with crumbling support and mounting challenges as he scrambles for traction in key battlegrounds. A shocking display of self-destruction. Recently, Trump has lashed out in unprecedented ways, resorting to increasingly bizarre tactics as his campaign's strategy phrase. One particularly shocking instance was a disturbing display during a Milwaukee rally where Trump simulated an obscene act at the microphone, leaving many attendees unsettled. The backlash from this incident was swift, with even conservative outlets like the Drudge Report covering the incident in stark terms, which were previously unheard of from media on the right. The Drudge Report, often known for its conservative leanings, recently posted a series of pointed and, for Trump, deeply unflattering headlines. From accusations that Trump called for the execution of political figures to shocking references to his behavior on stage, Drudge's turn away from Trump signals a broader crisis within right-leaning media. If Trump has lost the Drudge Report, which was one of his initial media allies, one must wonder how he'll regain support in an already shaky campaign. Trump's latest attacks on the Drudge Report and media allies. Trump's response to his dwindling media support has been one of disdain and frustration. In a recent post, Trump criticized the Drudge Report, dismissing it as a failing outlet that, according to him, is on the brink of collapse. But Trump's criticism of the outlet could be a mask for a deeper fear that even his once steadfast media allies are turning against him as the race progresses. With conservative media shifting away and becoming more critical, Trump appears increasingly isolated, without the media safety net he has historically relied upon. Fox News, another former media stronghold for Trump, has similarly fallen into his crosshairs. Trump recently condemned Fox for airing clips that he claimed were Democrat ads. Although Fox News' lineup includes hosts like Sean Hannity and Jesse Waters, who frequently defend Trump, his accusation signals that he feels betrayed even by his most prominent media allies. Meltdown on the campaign trail. The campaign trail has become a tense and chaotic setting for Trump, with polls indicating a significant drop in support. In Pennsylvania, North Carolina, and Wisconsin, early voting numbers are signaling a shift away from Trump among key demographics, particularly women and seniors. This shift has been most notable in Iowa, where a well-regarded poll by the Des Moines Register showed Vice President Kamala Harris leading Trump by 3 points. This surprising statistic has sent shockwaves through the Trump camp, with reports of internal strife and confusion as the team struggles to comprehend their steep decline in a state once considered firmly in their grasp. Adding to the turmoil, early voter turnout is surpassing expectations in many regions, with a notable increase among women and younger voters. Reports from Michigan indicate a record-setting voter turnout, which could bode poorly for Trump, as high turnout tends to favor Democratic candidates. With traditionally red areas in North Carolina and Pennsylvania seeing a lag in GOP turnout, Trump's campaign faces a stark reality. The very areas he needs to carry are underperforming, while his opposition rallies with growing momentum. The voter demographic shift. A post-Roe effect? The demographic breakdowns in recent polling point to a significant gender gap, with Harris leading among women by 20 points in Iowa, a traditionally conservative Midwestern state. Analysts attribute this trend to the aftermath of the Supreme Court's decision to overturn Roe v. Wade, a move that many believe alienated suburban and moderate women, traditionally key swing voters. The decision seems to have galvanized a coalition of voters who are eager to voice their frustration at the ballot box, creating a swell of support for Democratic candidates. The effects of the Roe v. Wade decision are proving seismic, as it resonates deeply across gender and age demographics, pulling female voters, particularly in states like Iowa and Wisconsin, away from Trump. In this light, Trump's recent inflammatory comments about political violence and his aggressive stance on social issues are likely fueling the divide, pushing swing voters toward a Democratic ticket that appears more attuned to their concerns. A fractured campaign rhetoric. Fear as a strategy? Amidst this swirling chaos, Trump has turned to a familiar tactic: fear. He recently claimed that if Harris wins the election, Americans would face a 1929-style economic depression, attempting to instill panic among voters. This apocalyptic messaging, however, may be backfiring. Americans are growing wary of Trump's fearmongering approach, seeing it less as a legitimate warning and more as a sign of his own campaign's desperation. Instead of projecting stability and vision, Trump's strategy seems designed to frighten and intimidate, an approach that feels increasingly out of touch with an electorate yearning for calm and unity. The campaign's choice to focus on fear rather than substantive policy seems to reflect a broader panic. Rather than addressing issues directly affecting Americans, such as healthcare, climate policy, and economic development, Trump's focus remains on divisive rhetoric, casting himself as the savior against imagined catastrophes. But his doomsday predictions and personal attacks may be fueling voter disillusionment, pushing more voters toward his opponent. The impact of backlash and low turnout. Trump's recent rallies, far from the massive crowds he once attracted, have seen dwindling attendance, often with only a fraction of expected supporters. This was highlighted by an embarrassing turnout at a rally in support of Trump-backed Ohio Senator J.D. Vance, which was supposed to draw thousands but reportedly attracted fewer than 100 attendees. In stark contrast, women's marches across the country have seen remarkable turnouts, signaling strong grassroots energy that could play a critical role in shaping the election outcome. The Villages, a historically conservative retirement community in Florida, recently hosted a women's march in support of Kamala Harris and other Democratic candidates. The sight of seniors, many of whom traditionally lean Republican, rallying in support of Harris sends a strong message about shifting allegiances. Across the country, rallies advocating for women's rights and progressive values are seeing a groundswell of participation, reflecting a broader trend away from Trump's divisive brand of politics. A new vision for American politics? Many Americans are looking beyond the spectacle of Trump's rallies, seeking a political vision that aligns with their values. As demonstrated by the enthusiasm seen in grassroots movements and high early voting turnout, Americans seem ready for a new direction. Candidates like Harris are gaining traction by addressing critical issues like the cost of living, climate change, healthcare, and women's rights, resonating with voters who want solutions rather than sensationalism. Even political figures like former Secretary of Transportation Pete Buttigieg have pointed out the stark contrast between Harris's focus on tangible issues and Trump's frequent allusions to violence and division. In a recent statement, Buttigieg observed that only one candidate, Harris, is truly speaking to Americans' real concerns, signaling a potential shift in how voters are connecting with candidates. Can Trump recover? Trump's path to recovery is fraught with challenges. With mounting resistance from demographics he once counted on and a fractured media base, his campaign is straining under the weight of its own rhetoric. If he hopes to regain ground, he'll need to overhaul his strategy dramatically, focusing on policies that genuinely resonate with an electorate increasingly wary of divisive politics. For now, Trump's campaign stands as a cautionary tale of what happens when panic and desperation overshadow purpose and vision. Whether this meltdown will mark the end of Trump's political era or a momentary setback remains to be seen. However, one thing is certain. In 2024, American voters are making their voices heard, pushing back against fear and division in favor of a future grounded in progress and unity.